Wakey wakey, a very good morning to all of you. You are tuned in to Good Morning Sri Lanka on MTV Sports, and I am Vasam Ismail, and it's the 1st of February, and usually it's a day where all New Year resolutions come to an official end. And I know I've been talking a lot about New Year resolutions in the shows in the past, but I sincerely hope that this would not be the end, because in the end we keep those resolutions to continue, move forward and develop our own lives. So I sincerely hope that you are continuing with your resolutions even though it's February. And what's great about today is it is the start of a long weekend. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I come from a background, I come from the corporate sector, and I work for the corporate sector, and usually holidays and long weekends are something that we treasure a lot. But sometimes I find it that when, you know, long weekends come, it's just that there's so much more work you need to do on the days you have remaining. So I hope that you don't face the same situation I'm facing, but definitely it's great to have a holiday coming up on Monday, and it's a national day, regardless of what people would think about the country, things that happen, the negativities, political situations, your views, or whatever your thoughts are. I'm sure you still are patriotic citizens, as I am. I love my country, and so should you. We have an interesting show today. We have some interesting young adults joining us on the show today with a very inspirational program that they are having tomorrow, and later on in the show we'll be bringing them in and we'll be having a little chat about the event that they are going to have tomorrow. But before that, I'm just going to talk to you about a few things that's happening around the world. As you know, we recently heard about the nightclub which caught fire in Brazil, in Santa Maria, but recently the news states that they're taking a lot of precautions, and they're putting up a lot of inspectors in different cities around Brazil to ensure that fire regulations are put up in place, and also to see the safety issues in entertainment centers. And it's really concerning them because they are preparing for the Soccer World Cup next year. And not only that, they are also supposed to be hosting the Olympic Games in 2016. So they need to ensure that, you know, all the entertainment centers, clubs and stuff will be safe from fire, because they are expecting a lot of tourists to come into the country. Also, as you know, I mean, touching on that story, it seems that there are a lot of things that concern them with regard to how that fire took place. So first things first, I mean, the band which was the band which was held responsible for starting the fire used a flare which is supposed to be used outdoors for visual effects, and they used it indoors, and that is how the fire started. And the nightclub was authorized to have only 690 people, but it is estimated that there were 1,000 people in that nightclub on that night. And it's not just that, the fire signs, emergency exit signs which were on the doors are not working, and even the emergency exit doors are too small for people to actually rush out in an emergency. So right now there's a campaign going around Brazil to ensure that all safety regulations are put in place. Of course, I must say, I don't mean any disrespect to any entrepreneurs who have clubs and nightclubs that are running in Sri Lanka. I mean, I've been to a few of them, and I know what it's like when there's too many people packed inside one club during season. And I think in Sri Lanka, people who have nightclubs here also, they need to ensure that the safety regulations in this country are also put in proper place. Spurring away from that topic, there was another rather disheartening topic that was coming forward in the recent past, which stirred a lot of international problems, and this I'm talking about the gang rape which happened in India, and I'm pleased to know that tomorrow, on Saturday, the 5 accused people will be officially charged. And they say that the charges may not end tomorrow, it may continue on till Monday, but there will be a trial that will spring out just after that. However, the lawyers of the accused state that the accused are going to plead not guilty. Let's see how that works out. We don't know if they're guilty or not, but I suppose that's why the legal system is there, to find out what actually went down and if the accused are guilty or not. And on the basis of them accusing, I beg your pardon, on the basis of them saying that they are not guilty, they state that that the DNA evidence which was brought forward was fabricated, and the confessions that some of them made were actually made out of under torture. So let's see what happens. I will definitely be following on that story, and we will give you more news on that later on, maybe in the coming days of the show. Another thing which kind of sprang last year, especially during the latter part of last year, was on Gangnam Style, which South Korea was famous for. But in the news, it seems that South Korea is up for something else as well. They have just launched their first civilian rocket out to space, and it is to send a satellite into orbit, and this is their 3rd attempt during the last 4 years, and they finally managed to send it out. Of course, the last rockets were stopped in the 11th hour due to technical difficulties, but this one was a rather successful one, and it's been monitored through all enthusiasts globally. Also, there's something interesting which we are about to show you now. Of course, the past weekend was jam-packed with many award ceremonies, from the Producers Guild Awards to SAG Awards. Yet, this movie had decided to make its debut and have all the attendees on the edge of their seat. And this, I'm talking about Hansel and Gretel. Check it out.
Classic grim fairy tale Hansel and Gretel gets a bloodthirsty Hollywood revamping in a new action-packed flick starring Jeremy Renner and British actress Gemma Arterton. Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters promises the classic tale with a new twist, as it imagines the next chapter in the lives of the 2 title characters made famous in German folklore. The film had its premiere on Thursday, 24th of January at the Grauman's Chinese Theatre in Hollywood, with co-stars Renner and Arterton, as well as actress Famke Janssen, executive producer Will Ferrell, and director Tommy Wirkola in attendance. Recorded by brothers Wilhelm and Jacob Grimm and first published in 1812, the fairy tale of Hansel and Gretel tells the story of a brother and sister who are abandoned in the woods by their parents and take refuge in a house made of candy and cake, inhabited by a kind old woman who is revealed as a wicked witch who hunts and eats children. Although the witch has plans to fatten up Hansel and Gretel and throw them in the oven, they make their escape and are reunited with their father. The tale ends there, leaving the rest of the lives of the children up to the imagination, and that's where Hollywood comes in.
It's just the idea of doing something fun. There's never any moment or anybody trying to say that this was anything highbrow by any means. It's just pure entertainment, and the idea of going to work and just having fun as well was something exciting to me. And then finding something that was clever. The characters are great. We're having to work in tandem with Gemma. It was great. It's sort of having to act in tandem was a new experience for me, and I thought that was really quite interesting.
Me and my sister, we have a past. We almost died at the hands of a witch. But that past made us stronger. We'd gotten a taste of blood, witch blood. And we haven't stopped since.
sort of just ends, and there's no conclusion to it. And I'm quite amazed that nobody's thought of this idea before. I mean, there's no happily ever after. It's just these kids kill a witch, and so our film is that. Yeah, it's the what happened. Such a kind of down, grounded, badass kind of. That's why they were designed. They play on your most sort of basic fears and this one in particular, abandonment, temptation, abandonment from your parents. It's terrible. But yeah, that's why they were designed. They have to have the scare factor in them.
You have to do it a little bit tongue-in-cheek. I don't think you can take it too seriously. So it has a Tarantino-esque feel to it, sorry. And then I think that's important because, it's different from what the fairy tale was for kids. It's for grown-ups now, and they've seen a lot. They know a lot. Their audiences are more educated than ever, and so they have a lot of criticism, I think, very quickly. So you kind of have to, it's a genre they're all very familiar with. You just have to spin it on its head once in a while, I guess.
Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunter was released in 3D on the 25th of January.
Well, that's new.
Hell yeah!
Good morning, sunshine.
You gotta be kidding me.
There you have it. That's a little bit about Hansel and Gretel. I have not watched the movie yet, but I'm definitely geared for it, and I think during this long weekend that would be one of my priorities, to watch Hansel and Gretel. And of course, the lead actor you would have seen before in Avengers is Jeremy Renner, and of course Gemma Arterton, who's playing the female lead. And the movie is directed by Tommy Wirkola and written by Dante Harper. Of course, we've seen a lot of children's themed fairy tales and other stories being made up and modernized. I mean, it's interesting to see how Hansel and Gretel is going to work out. I mean, after all, it was a fairy tale that all of us heard when we were kids, and it was about two kids who were under the threat of a witch, but now turned into bounty hunters. That's going to be interesting to watch. We're going to take a short break now, and when we come back we are going to speak to a few interesting guests. So stay on MTV Sports till we get back.